Dark clouds roll over the remote valley of Elmsbrook, Pennsylvania, 1893. The camera pans to the skeletal frame of the Brennan homestead, its windows darkened as though the house itself is hiding its breath. A single chair rocks slowly on the porch, then silence, until a whisper barely audible cuts through. They were never 16. The frame freezes on an old family portrait. 5 children, faces pale, smiles rigid, eyes too knowing. Every viewer feels instantly that this house has swallowed its children and the world has forgotten. The Brennans were a prominent family, pillars of the small town of Elmsbrook. Farmers by trade, devoutly Catholic by tradition, they were considered models of piety. Yet diaries uncovered decades later suggest a family obsessed with ritual, with timing, with a dark calendar tied to celestial events. In the town archives, censored church records hint at frequent disappearances of children from neighboring households, but none as calculated, as deliberate as the Brennans. Families seem to have a compulsion to vanish their children at the exact age of 16, a sinister synchrony that haunted the town in whispers. 5 Brennan children, Mary, Thomas, Eleanor, James, and little Ruth. Each was described by neighbors as unusually perceptive, often seen wandering near the woods at dawn, speaking in hushed tones no adult could comprehend. Their mother, Lillian, obsessed over their education and manners, recorded their milestones with chilling precision. Every birthday was noted, every growth spurt measured, every dream catalogued. But it was the 16th birthday that carried a shadow, a quiet dread in the air. Townsfolk would later say that the children knew their fate, that on the eve of 16 they seemed to shrink, withdraw into themselves, murmuring cryptic warnings. Elmsbrook, isolated in Pennsylvania's rolling hills, thrived quietly on timber and small-scale agriculture. But beneath the town's pastoral veneer lay a network of secrets, missing children, unmarked graves, and an uneasy relationship with the local seminary, which had been accused of conducting forbidden rites in the 1870s. The locals recall a hush over the town every year on the anniversary of the first Brennan disappearance. Shops closed, animals refused to eat, and the wind carried a mournful, almost human wail. It was a town aligned to the timing of tragedy, as if each disappearance had a gravitational pull, bending the seasons themselves. It began with Mary, the eldest. On her 16th birthday, she was nowhere to be found. Her bedroom, left pristine, smelled faintly of lavender and damp earth. Windows were locked, doors bolted, yet the girl was gone. The townspeople combed the woods, questioned neighbors, searched the river, but Mary had dissolved from existence. That night, the church bell tolled 13 times, an anomaly long remembered by the older clergy. Locals whispered that the house itself ate her, an impossible thought, dismissed, yet impossible to forget. By the time Thomas turned 16, the pattern was undeniable. Each child vanished on the same day of the same month. Fear gripped Elmsbrook. Families grew wary, mothers pulled children indoors, fathers carried charms and crucifixes to ward off invisible forces. Scholars and clergy were called, but official reports labeled the events unexplainable, possibly coincidental. And yet patterns persisted. Names, ages, dates, all aligning as if an unseen hand orchestrated them. Townsfolk began avoiding the Brennan homestead entirely. It was said that shadows lingered there unnaturally long, shifting as if they were alive. Decades later, in a dusty archive, researchers discovered Lillian Brennan's diaries. Her words, meticulous and obsessive, revealed a growing dread. "The time approaches," she wrote, "and I cannot save them. The law demands their passage, and I am powerless." The diary suggested a belief in a celestial covenant, a secret society of watchers, demanding children upon reaching 16. Yet there is no record of such a society in any known history. Was this madness, or a hidden, ancient institution operating beyond the knowledge of the town, or even the nation? One recurring theme in the diaries was the seminary on the hill, a Gothic structure of cold stone and iron gates. It had long been rumored to hold manuscripts on occult rites, and the Brennans were frequent visitors. Lillian mentioned secret passages, chanting in Latin, and a light that does not illuminate. While officially, the seminary was devoted to theological study, hidden logs hint at experiments in human transference, rituals meant to bind a soul to time itself. Did the Brennans fall victim to such an experiment, or were they willing participants, sacrificing their children to a cosmic covenant? Every disappearance followed the same ominous signs. Mirrors cracked, clocks froze at midnight, and the wind carried the smell of decayed roses. Townspeople reported hearing faint music from the homestead, organ notes, sung in a tone humans should not be able to produce. Lillian's notes spoke of a sigil drawn in the children's rooms, a spiral within a pentagon, inked in a mixture of soot and ash. The symbolism suggests a binding ritual meant to transition the children into something else, something not entirely of this world. Fear of the unknown gripped everyone who glimpsed these marks. They were compelled to look away. As the last child, Ruth, approached her 16th birthday, the town was paralyzed with dread. Lillian's own letters to the priest hinted at despair bordering on madness. I hear them in the walls. I see them behind every curtain. I cannot protect her. The night demands its due. Psychological terror seeped through her prose. Was Lillian truly haunted by visions of her missing children, or was the house, or the ritual itself, reaching through her mind? In either case, the sense of inevitability was suffocating. On the night of Ruth's 16th birthday, the air turned icy. Neighbors described an unnatural fog enveloping the valley. Windows rattled, doors shook, screams, indistinct, echoing, rose from the homestead, then stopped abruptly. By morning, Ruth was gone. The house was silent, the diary left open on the kitchen table, ink still wet as though the pen had been held by an invisible hand. Some swore the children's faint laughter lingered in the rafters, a spectral chorus mocking the living. Authorities arrived but found no evidence. They labeled it mass disappearance, attributing it to superstition and hysteria. The seminary claimed no knowledge of the Brennans' visits. Yet records from that period show inexplicable gaps. Clergy, law enforcement, and even census documents omit the children's names in the years following their vanishing. The official narrative was a silent erasure, a bureaucratic refusal to acknowledge the abnormal. The truth was deliberately obscured, by design or by fear, no one could say. Elmsbrook's population dwindled in the years that followed. Families moved away, shops shuttered. Children born after the disappearances were rumored to be cursed or different, their eyes reflecting a knowledge no child should hold. Every 16-year-old became a symbol of dread. Birthdays were celebrated quietly, doors bolted, prayers whispered frantically. The town became a shadow of itself, defined by the absence of the Brennans, haunted by the children who were never 16. In the 1930s, a handful of paranormal researchers documented phenomena at the Brennan homestead. They reported spectral children wandering the hallways, the faint scent of lavender, and whispers in dead languages. Instruments malfunctioned. Cameras captured fleeting figures that vanished in seconds. One investigator described feeling an oppressive weight, as though the house itself were breathing, watching, and judging. Their reports were dismissed by authorities but preserved in private collections, hinting at an enduring, possibly intergenerational haunting. Theories about the Brennan disappearances proliferated. Some suggested demonic intervention, others a secret society using the children for occult experiments. A few claimed Lillian herself orchestrated the vanishings, convinced she was preserving them for eternity. Modern scholars lean toward a psychological explanation, a combination of collective hysteria, superstition, and trauma. But the repeated, precise nature of the disappearances defies simple logic. The phenomenon remained unsolved, a historical void no explanation could fully occupy. Lillian Brennan died quietly in 1910, decades after the disappearances. Her obituary made no mention of her children. Neighbors recall seeing her wandering the valley at night, speaking softly to unseen companions. Her final diary entry reads, "They are mine, forever mine, and one day they will return to those who remember." Whether she believed in a cosmic law, a spiritual covenant, or her own fractured mind, the weight of obsession consumed her entirely. She became a symbol of grief and complicity intertwined. The Brennan homestead stands abandoned, a skeletal reminder of vanished lives. Trees twist unnaturally around its foundation, windows dark and reflective like watchful eyes. Explorers who enter report nausea, vertigo, and an overwhelming sense of being observed. Some hear footsteps above, though the floors are empty. The house resists decay yet seems to breathe slowly, deliberately, as though holding on to the children within its walls. Local lore warns, do not approach on a 16th birthday. Despite official silence, the legend persists. Oral histories, regional folktales, and a few obscure newspaper articles record the tale. The Brennan curse became shorthand for unexplained disappearances, a cautionary story whispered at bedtime. Scholars note that the case influenced nearby communities' attitudes toward family, religion, and ritual, embedding fear in local culture. The children's names, though largely erased from official documents, remain etched in collective memory, a haunting testament to loss and mystery. The story resonates on a primal level. The enforced silence, the timing of disappearances, the patterns in Lillian's diaries, all point to an intricate web of fear, control, and possible compulsion. Some argue the narrative reflects societal anxieties of the era, strict adherence to ritual, fear of growing up, and suspicion of institutional power. The homestead, the seminary, the town, they are mirrors of authority and secrecy, reflecting how trauma can echo across generations, unspoken yet omnipresent. The Brennans were never seen again, yet some claim their shadows wander the valley at night. Visitors occasionally glimpse 5 figures standing at the windows, pale faces pressed to glass, watching silently. Their laughter, when heard, is a warning. Time is not a gift, it is a debt. The valley of Elmsbrook remains cursed by absence, by secrecy, and by the unending question, who or what claims the children when they turn 16? The house waits, and somewhere within, the Brennan children wait too, forever suspended between life, death, and the unknown.